Are you a professional coach looking to stand out from the crowd by providing a superior customer service while streamlining your client management? Well, then this video is for you. I'm Jackie Appleby, also known as the Diligent Assistant, and I'm founder of Diligent Assistant Inc., a company that provides business coaching, consulting, and management services for professional coaches like you. Our mission is to help you grow and stabilize your business so you can focus on what you do best, transforming lives through coaching. In today's video, we're diving into the world of Dubsado CRM, a fantastic tool that can help you transform your coaching business, and I'm excited to take you on a walkthrough of Dubsado's key features and how you as a coach can leverage them to boost your efficiency and overall client experience. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get started. Okay, so here we are in the dashboard view of Dubsado, and today, as I mentioned, we're just going to do a fairly quick walkthrough to give you an overall idea of what can and can't be done. So we're coming into the dashboard view. It's the default view, so every time you log in, you'll usually end up on your dashboard. And at the top here, you have some indicators, financial goals you can set either annually or monthly. You can see what open invoices that you have, and you can also see a revenue indicator. So this will do a rolling 30 days and tell you whether you're plus or minus in percentages compared to the previous 30 days. So it's a good way to see all your targets. And then over here in the recents area, it'll tell you what activity you've seen over the last little while. So how many invoices are overdue, any contracts that need counter signatures, any workflow actions that need approval. And then they often have, Dubsado makes updates all the time to this product, so they'll have more information here. Now, if I had my calendar connected in on this account, you would see that calendar here with all of my appointments in it, but I don't have it connected because this is my demo account. And I just wanted to point that out to you as well, as one of the great things about Dubsado is you can do a trial for as long as you want. You can have 3 clients on your trial at any given time. As soon as you go over 3 clients, that's when you need to start paying for a paid platform. But you can test Dubsado out with just 3 clients for as long as you want to. There is some functionality that doesn't work, but most of it does. So you can really get in here and start to build things out and get a feel for how your contracts look and invoices and all of that stuff before you even have to pay for a subscription with Dubsado, which is really nice. So yeah, continuing on with the dashboard, and then down here you have financials and tasks. Again, I don't have a lot of information in this particular version of Dubsado, so there's not a lot to see. But if you're tracking your invoices and you're putting all your expenses in here, this will spit out some details down here in the financials area that'll tell you how you're performing month over month, your expenses versus income and that kind of stuff. And if you take advantage of the tasks that are built into Dubsado, you'll see those here, any that are assigned to you and that kind of stuff you'll see listed here. So that's pretty much the dashboard. And then the thing to remember with Dubsado is the terminology is different from a CRM. So Dubsado was originally designed for freelancers. So it was very much geared towards web designers and graphic designers and all of that kind of stuff, where they worked on a project basis. So they would have a list of clients that may have, for instance, a web build, and then they might complete that project, close it all off, and the client might come back to them in future and say, now I want some images designed, and that would be a new project. Dubsado does work really well for coaches. You just have to get your head around the terminology and know that each coaching engagement that you have in place is actually called a project. And so once you get your head around that terminology, you can start to see how you can move people through the Dubsado system and get all the information out and get them onboarded and offboarded and all of that stuff really, really well. But you do need to understand that Dubsado is project-based. It's the projects that take priority. So for the coaches, that would be coaching engagements. So here in the projects window, you can see at the top here that you've got leads and jobs, and then combined, and then any that have been archived. Now you can create your sales funnels in Dubsado. You would just go to this customize button and click on that. And here you can see you can add a status. So in leads, for instance, for coaches, you might have a new. So somebody that's filled in your form or booked an appointment, you might want to just classify them as new. So then that would go in there. And then you might have a discovery call, which is usually the norm for coaches, discovery call booked maybe. And this is really just so that you can keep track of the status that each of your clients is in. So you know exactly when to follow up, who's going to be coming on as a paying client, who's not quite there yet, that kind of stuff. And then the same thing down here with jobs. So leads is, new, like prospects, that kind of stuff. Jobs is when you're actually in an active coaching relationship with them. I like to move when you decide to move them from leads to jobs is entirely up to you. But I like to move my leads to jobs when they have completed their contract. So even if they haven't paid an invoice at that point, if they've signed off on a contract, I know that they're going to be coming on board as a client. So usually I have a status up here that will say contract sent. And then down here, as soon as that contract is received back, and that's really nice because you can use that as a trigger if you're using automated workflows. You can then move it to a job. You can say in progress, you can say contract completed, or however you want to label it so that you know what's going on with your clients. But basically you can add in as many statuses as you want, just so that you have an idea of where each of your contacts is at within that particular coaching engagement. And then down here you have the columns. So this is, you can customize which column will be visible in your projects page. So you can choose what information. So you can have the project day, invoices, contracts, and then there's a couple of others here if you want to view that. And you can pick the default sorting order. So when you go in here, if I go back to this one, this will be a list. If you're on the all here, this will be a list of anyone, whether it's a lead or whether it is a job. You'll see everybody here. And then that's all the information that you can see across the top where we just were in the customize section. So you can choose to switch that on or off if you want to see that information. And then you can choose the default sorting order. So here you've got title, and all of these other things. You can choose what order you want to list them in. So that's a really nice feature there, and whether it's newest to oldest. And then you have tags. You can also set up tags in Dubsado just to keep a track of kind of grouping people together, or you can organize them all by project tags. So if, for instance, you have group coaching and you have one-on-one coaching, and maybe you have a mastermind, you can create tags for all of those, and then you can kind of sort everybody in your list based on those tags. So that's the project area. That's pretty much it. To put a new project in, you just click on new project, you put your title in, you can select a client from your existing address book, which I'll show you in a minute, or you can create a new client, and then you can click that project status that we just looked at to decide where they're coming in. You can add your tag, you can add some notes. So this is really just information for you to set up the project. So whatever you need to put in here to remind yourself about, why they're coming in, what they're looking for or something like that. That's how you create a new project. There is another way to create a project, and that is through a lead form that the client actually fills out. And I'll show you that when we get to the form section. But those are the only two ways to get information into Dubsado. Either your client or your prospective client is completing a lead form, which you can place on your website. They fill out a form because they want information. Or you can attach a lead intake form to a scheduler if they're booking an appointment, and they'll come in, it'll create a new project, or you manually set up a new project inside of Dubsado. Those are the only two ways that a project gets set up. So that's just a brief overview there of the projects area. And you have reporting. So if you want to know the ins and outs of what's going on with your business and do a bit of an analysis, they have some basic reporting features, which are really nice. So you can have project sources, and these are all changeable. But basically you can show where a project came from, if it was a referral from a client or from one of these other places. And so you can actually begin to see where you're getting the most of your work from. It does depend on you to apply the sources at the time when a new project is open. So as with most CRMs, the system is only as good as the person using it. So you're only going to get this information if you actually put the project source in. There's a project breakdown. So this will give you some information about the types of projects, the source that they're coming from, what you've done over a week or a month, last 30 days, that kind of stuff. So you can see a little bit of reporting. You can see your income there, and there's some more items that they're currently working through. Dubsado has a roadmap of all the features that they're putting into their system. They've got some really good stuff coming. So I'll share a link to that in the notes section of this video, and then you can go take a look and see all the great things that they've got coming in. So also in the reporting area, you can see any invoices. Now, I use this function all the time because it will tell you who's paid and who hasn't. So this is a really easy way, if you're not sure of who's got outstanding invoices, to come in and see which ones are outstanding. And then you're able to follow up on any of those. So just some light reporting on your invoices. If you're using Dubsado, as I mentioned, to track your expenses too, this will give you a detailed kind of overview of your income and your expense, and you can add those here too. So this is a great way to access that. So you can add income, add expense. You can also export everything as a CSV. Now, in my opinion, Dubsado gives you enough to do a little bit of light book work when you're early on in your business, but it's not robust enough to give you good reporting tools that you need. So I don't usually encourage that you use this solely as your bookkeeping, but it will certainly work when you're in the early stages of your business to give you a starting point to start getting everything organized. The downside of Dubsado compared to a platform like QuickBooks is that it doesn't integrate with your banks directly, so everything has to be manually input. So every time you have a credit card transaction come through, you have to come in and manually add an expense and put that in, whereas a platform like QuickBooks or Wave or Sage One, they all connect with your bank, so they'll download those transactions automatically, and then you can just go in and categorize them without having to enter everything. So Dubsado is meant for kind of light bookkeeping. There is a chart of an accounts. This is where you decide what categories all of your transactions goes into. This is kind of standard accounting stuff. It's fairly easy to set up. You can put more income categories in, you can put more expense categories in, and this is just for you to kind of get an idea of where your money is coming from and also where your money is going to, so you can set those up. And then there's an overall reports section, which based on the dates that you pick will give you just some great reports on income, expenses, net profit and sales. Fairly straightforward there. And then we head into the calendar section. So Dubsado has a fairly robust calendar and scheduler. They're working on an overhaul, I believe, for the scheduler. It's coming soon, so I'll have some added features. I find it works really well, but it is a little bit complicated on how to set it up, and you have to be able to get your head around how things work in order to know why certain things happen. So you can, in the settings, hook up your calendar. It will only hook up to one calendar essentially. So that is in the email section. You can actually integrate your emails, and usually either of those. So you can connect with Google, you can connect with Microsoft. These will both bring in those calendars and help you connect those. So you can pull in your calendars from both of those areas, and then when we head back to the calendar section, it will show here. So the nice thing about Dubsado is it does sync two-way. So anytime somebody is booking an appointment in Dubsado, it will go to your Outlook or Google Calendar. And anytime you put something in your Google or Outlook calendar, it will import over into Dubsado. So the scheduling is really accurate as far as what other appointments you have going on that are outside of Dubsado. You can set everything up for your calendar from here. So you can pull in the different types of calendars that you want to pull in once you're connected. Let's go back here. You've got some events that will show here if you have something specific coming up on your on the event side of things. So that will be listed. I obviously don't have anything in my calendar. So this is the basic functionality of the calendar. You can flick through and see what's going on. Okay, so for tasks, I don't usually use the Dubsado task area because I use ClickUp for my business, which is a project management tool that's much more robust. But again, if you're a small team, it's just you or just one or two of you, there's no reason why you can't use the tasks within Dubsado. They're kind of, they do work kind of nicely. And one of the things you can do is actually share the tasks with clients. So that's awesome. When you set up an account with Dubsado, they'll put like some dummy tasks in just for you to do a few things so you can try it out. But basically, it works a bit like a Trello board. So you've got my tasks, you've got all tasks, and then you've got task boards, which work a bit like I said, like Trello. So you can add a board, and then we're going to call this test, and we're going to apply it to that project, and then add. And then this is the name of the actual board. And then here you set up your columns like you would in like a Trello environment. So let's do something simple like new. And then here you would go in progress, maybe complete. And then, so these are your actual headings. And then here you click on the plus sign and you put the task in. So let's do confirm appointment. And then it'll go in. And then you can go into the drop down and you can either copy or delete it if you want to. You can tick it off here and you can click into it and then put in your due date. You can choose the column that it's in. You can assign a user. So if you have someone else on your team, you can write a comment and save it. So that's all there. And then up here too, you can also change the privacy settings of this particular board. So this is where you can say it's just for admin. So you can use it for internal tasks, or you can actually flip it to say all clients will be able to edit and create tasks. So this is actually a really nice way for a client to be able to send you items if that's kind of how you run your business. So if there's something that they are asking you to do, or if you want to give them something to do, you can do it through here. So that's a nice piece with the tasks. So that's basically how you set up a board, and then you can do individual tasks too. So if we head back here, these are all tasks. So you can go to my tasks, anything that's just assigned to you. You can add a task and it pops up that same box. So the only difference between the boards and the task is the board kind of collates a bunch of tasks together and puts them under like a client. So you can keep everything together and keep track. So that's how the tasks work. And then we have utilities. So in here you have a list of forms. Now these are all the forms that you've actually sent out. So you can see when you send forms out, when a client sends them back, you can see all of that information in here. So the address book is where all of your client details are stored separate to a project. You need to understand that they're two separate things. There's a client and there's a project. And a client record doesn't have as much functionality as a project does. When you set up a new project in Dubsado, you have the choice of creating the client at that time. And when you do that, it will automatically put them into your address book. And you'll eventually end up with a list of people here that are basically all the contacts that you've had. And you can also add clients from here. It's rare though that you would actually be adding a client and not needing a project, which essentially is, as I mentioned, is a coaching engagement. So I don't tend to come in here and add too many clients this way. I usually do it from the project end. But you can click into any of the entries and you can see their profile. So there's a fairly decent amount of information you can put in. You can set up custom mapped fields. So if you want additional fields to the ones that are kind of standard, you can set those up, and you can actually get information from forms to map to those custom map fields. They just have to be a certain type of question. So if you wanted to capture clients' birthdays, for instance, or any other details that don't come in the standard fields, you can set up a custom mapped field to put that information in. So you can see the profile information. You can see all the emails that have been sent. Usually these are also sit within the projects. You can also send an email from here. So if you haven't set up a project and you're just in the first throes of kind of back and forth with your client, you can actually come in here and send a message. You can see any forms. You can also add new forms, and I'll show you what these look like in a minute. But basically, you get a list of all the forms, so you can add those and send them. And then here's a list of projects. So you can see this is the one that I already set up a while ago, but I can come in here at any point and add a new project. So that's one time when you probably would use the address book more so, is if you have a client returning to you and you're doing like a second round of coaching. You can come in here and actually add that new project where the other one has already been closed off. You can add notes so that you are capturing some of the important information. And if you choose to make a note of when you do calls, it's fairly straightforward. So if you want to make a note of, I called this person to follow up, you can just add a call log in here. And that's pretty much it for the address book. It's not as robust as the CRM functionality on a lot of the bigger CRMs like HubSpot and Infusionsoft and stuff like that. So it won't do as many things from within the customer profile. Most of the magic happens in the project itself. So under the utilities, that was our address book. And then you've got a time tracker, which is fairly new. So if you want to keep track of time, you just press your little play button. It'll ask you what you're working on, and then you can fill in all the details, and then it will tell you what you've got opened, what's been invoiced, and all of your items. So this was really geared towards those freelancers, as I mentioned. It's unlikely that as a coach that you'll actually be timing anything, but it's there if you need it. So that's awesome. And then finally we have the templates section, which is really where Dubsado's magic happens. So first of all, you have the scheduler that we talked about. So as I mentioned, it is really robust. It does take a little bit of setting up and getting everything in there correctly, but it works as well as like Acuity or Calendly. You have very similar functionality where you can not only indicate what your availability is, but also indicate what types of appointments you want on what days. You can have forms go out with them. You can you can put them into a group so that you can send one scheduler group out with like 3 or 4 different appointments on it. You can do follow-ups from here, which I really like. So it shows you here that it comes with its email, so you can set this up like a templated email, but you can also put in additional templates as well if you have different ones you want to use for different things. Under the advanced sections, you can add in details such as prevent booking less than however many hours in advance. You can create buffer times. You can decide what increments you want them to be displayed in. You can decide if you only want a maximum of, say 3 or 4 coaching sessions a day. You can pick that here. And then you have some sending and sharing options. So you can decide what your confirmation is here. If you want to add a new form, so if you want a client to fill out an intake form when they're booking an appointment, you can add that. You can even put an invoice on, which is probably my favorite feature in Dubsado. And one of the reasons why I have stuck with Dubsado is because for paid consultations, which I offer, and I know a lot of coaches like to get their sessions paid up front, you can actually add an invoice to the appointment scheduler so that when they go on the page and book their appointment, they can pick the appointment and the appointment time, and then it will bring up an invoice, and they cannot proceed, they cannot confirm that booking unless they pay the invoice first. So that's a really great way of making sure that you're getting paid up front, and just keeping on top of that, and it takes away you needing to follow up with people. So I love that functionality in Dubsado. So that's a high-level overview of the scheduler. And then under forms, they come in various categories, and they do different things. So you do need to be aware of what each of the things do. So contracts and sub-agreements are the only documents that you can put signature boxes on. So if you need somebody's electronic signature on a document, you need to set it up as a contract or a sub-agreement. Questionnaires, you can set up as both private and public questionnaires. So you can put some of these on like the front end of a website to pick up information. And these can be anything from, I've got a pre-coaching session questionnaire in here. You can do intake forms and all of that kind of stuff. So let's just pop in here and have a look so I can show you some of the functionality. So it's really kind of, all the forms are drag and drop. You have all of these different criteria on the side that you can literally just pick up and drop over and then fill out. And a lot of them have different settings. So Dubsado does have a bit of a steep learning curve, and you do need to get your head around how all of these different things work in order to make your forms look really amazing. But basically I pulled over an image box, and then this is a text box. So text boxes you use to kind of put your instructions in, and then this is a question that you can pull over, and you just basically, you can make it look as pretty or as plain as you want to. It's totally customizable. The form builder really is a fantastic tool. If you have kind of all your branding pieces ready to go, you can add them in really easily. And then you've got some different settings that you can do. So you can put your completion in there. They have changed this, so this legacy mode piece you might see, but if you're brand new to Dubsado, you won't need it. It's for those of us that created forms in the previous form builder. And then you've got form styling, so you can pick your fonts, you can pick your colors, padding. You can even add custom CSS. If you know how to code, you can make your forms look really, really amazing. And then each of these containers kind of has its own settings as well. So if you come into some of these and go into the settings, they do different things. Let's just go back here. So here, this is a container. So in here, you can pick the number of columns, the width, the background, all kinds of different things that you can do. So, it's very robust. The form builder is very robust. So there's not really a lot that you can't do with it. And like I said, it's like the heart of Dubsado is being able to build these forms. So we're going to quit without saving on this one. So that's questionnaires. Proposals, they're very similar to questionnaires. You get to put a lot more information in them. Let's just go into one and show you. But the biggest thing is that they can pick a package. This is just a proposal template. Dubsado does have a template library, so you can absolutely, work with an existing template and then fill it out. So this is like they've talked about how to become a life coach, but it's very basically done. So you can make it look really pretty with colors and, it almost make it look like a bit like a mini website. And then here's the magic that happens on the proposal. So you can list your packages and you can have them actually select and then send that back to you as, yes, I want to move ahead with this project. That's what the proposal really is for. The nice thing about this is if you want to do add-ons, so for coaches, you might have group coaching, and then you might have an add-on of monthly one-on-one coaching that they can choose to pick. So they can really kind of mix and match and build their own package based on what you want to offer. And that's really what the proposal does. Let's just give you a preview so you can see it live. I mean, this one's fairly plain, I think, as a template, but there really is so much that you can do with these. Proposals are meant to be your sales documents, so it's an opportunity for you to really showcase what your specialties are, as well as presenting the options for them. So it really does look quite spectacular when you get in there and design it correctly. So that's proposals. And then the lead captures, which I talked about earlier. So these lead captures are designed to set up a project. That's why they go under this specific category. So anything that you create under here will set up a new project. So you only want to create and use a lead capture if you actually want a new project created. So these are ideal to go on your website, on your contact page, get in touch. You can just do a basic like name, email, and then a box for, here's my question. On mine, I have a drop down question that kind of lists out all my services and asks them to pick which one they're interested in. So I get an idea of which service they're interested in before they even, get on a call with me. And then I know what I'm looking at. And that will create a new project for me every time, where I can actually go in and review the form and see what information they've put on there. So these are the 5 different types of forms that you can create. And as I mentioned, there is a template library. So you can go up here, and Dubsado has a whole bunch of stuff there's several coaching ones in here that you can use, but there's also a lot of other ones like, virtual styling and makeup artists and all that kind of stuff. So you can use any of these as many times as you want. They're all included in the platform. You don't have to pay extra to get to any of these, and you just tailor them for what you want. You can kind of flick between the different categories, but the templates are there for you to use as and when you need them. So that is the forms. We have canned emails. So you can actually set up emails that you use again and again and again. And there's 2 kind of areas for this. So there's this, and again, Dubsado kind of pre-populate it with a lot of information ahead of time. So you can use any of these and kind of revamp them for what you want. So these ones are for you to pick. When you're sending an email, there's a little tab that you can go into, and it will bring up all of these. And then if you go into this edit templates, you'll actually get to all of like the system generated templates that you can also change. So if you're sending an invoice, right now, this is the email that will go out. It's super boring. It doesn't give a lot of information. So if you're going to, opt with Dubsado, you're really going to want to spend some time setting this side of things up and making sure your system emails read as you want them to read, and have all of the information in. So, but there's tons of canned email places that you can go to and put information in. You can add your signature, which is really nice. So you can copy and paste images in there if you want, and code it, and that will go out on the bottom of every email. So you can really make them, look super nice, which is great. And then we have the packages. So you can set up packages with Dubsado, which is another feature that I really like that a lot of other systems I find just fall flat on. So if you want to combine a bunch of things, you can create discounts for them. So there's a whole bunch of tools in the packages area. Workflows is also a big piece of Dubsado, and where it really stands out from some of the other CRMs in that you have the ability to set up a lot of automation. So again, they've put a sample workflow in, so you can have these tasks either go automatically, or you can actually say, stop and wait for somebody to approve this. So you can set these workflows up really on any level that you want to make them, with as much or as little automation as you want. So an example of this would be, when somebody fills in your lead form and that comes to you, that they get a thank you email right away that you can send back out. So even if you haven't had time to review it, you can at least say, we've received your form, we're reviewing the information, we'll get back to you shortly, which is always a nice touch. And then it's got like to review that lead capture form and check things. So this will create a to-do on your to-do list. And then, you just keep working through how you want to onboard your client or potential client, any of the information that they need set up. You just add tasks in. There's a bunch of different triggers. I mean, honestly, it's quite robust, and Workflows needs its own video in itself, which eventually I will get around to doing, but we don't have one as at the time of recording this video. But the workflows are, a super robust piece of the platform. And then you also have payment plans. So you can choose to set a client up to pay in full. You can set them up with a 50-50. So you can, ask them for a deposit and the other 50% is paid on completion. You can do fixed deposits. You can do any number of installments. So there's lots of different ways that you can set up for payments and make something make your onboarding work for the clients. A lot of coaches, I find that because their coaching is like big ticket item, clients usually fare really well with some kind of payment plan. And just to get that set up and have it automated, you get them to sign a 12-month contract, you set up a payment plan for monthly payments, the invoice goes out on the same day every month, you add their credit card details to the Dubsado. You don't need to do that, the client does that. And then every month the invoice is sent out, it's automatically paid and taken care of. And, this is another piece of automation that is freeing your time up, and also not just from sending the invoices, but also making sure that you don't have to chase payments. In the CAN templates, there's templates available for if a payment fails, that they'll get an email go out straight away. And you can set up a notification or something like that to let you know that that's happened. So between payment plans and the templates and the workflows, I mean, this is really where Dubsado comes into its own. So that is kind of a very high level overview. I know it was a bit of a long video, just because there's so much stuff in Dubsado. This doesn't even really begin to touch on, what it can do and how you can get it set up. There is a lot of work to be done with setting up the system, with getting all of your branding put in there. But once it is set up and it's all good to go, you'll find that a lot of your time is reduced, that you're getting a lot of automations happening, that you can spend more time doing your coaching and less time worrying about the administrating. And at the same time, your clients are also going to be receiving a really superior service and experience from you.
And there we have it. That's your tour around the main features of Dubsado CRM. Remember, as a coach, it's not just about providing excellent services, it's also about creating seamless experiences for your clients. And Dubsado can help you achieve just that. Give it a try and see how it can transform your client management processes. As I mentioned, Dubsado offers an unlimited time trial if you have less than 3 clients. I'll also include my affiliate code in the description that will give you 20% off your first month or year if you decide to move forward with a paid plan. If you found this walkthrough helpful, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips and resources to support your coaching business. Until next time, I'm wishing you fun and success in your coaching journey. Stay diligent.